I need to tell you about the moment I realized WWE had broken something fundamental. It's January 2026. Royal Rumble. I'm sitting in my living room trying desperately to do something that should be automatic. Get excited when someone new enters the match. 10-second countdown. Buzzer hits. This is supposed to be the moment where we lose our minds guessing who's coming out. The music hits and nothing. 30,000 people in the arena, but there's this lag, this confusion because the song playing could be anyone. Generic rock riff number 47. Programmed drums, no lyrics, no hook, just sound. The wrestler has to appear on the ramp before anyone realizes who it is. And even then, the reaction is muted. This happens throughout both Rumbles. 60 wrestlers, 60 entrances, and I can remember maybe 10 of their themes. I've been watching wrestling for decades. I can sing you Shawn Michaels' theme from 1996. I can hum the first 3 notes of John Cena's entrance and your brain finishes it for you. I know the exact moment the glass shatters. I know the guitar riff. That means The Rock is in the building. But in 2026, WWE's entrance music has become algorithmic white noise. Music designed by formula, optimized for nothing in particular, memorable to no one. Here's what I mean. I'm going to describe a WWE entrance theme. Tell me whose it is. Heavy guitar, programmed drums, tempo around 140 BPM, no lyrics, opens with a vocal shout that might be the wrestler's name or catchphrase, bridge that goes quiet before building to a generic chorus. Who is that? Trick question. That's 90% of the roster. For years, I thought this was just how things were now. That WWE had evolved past memorable entrances. That maybe I was just getting old and nostalgic. If you're finding this analysis insightful, please take a moment to like and subscribe to SLAMZONE for more wrestling deep dives. But just a few weeks ago, something happened that proved I wasn't crazy. Something that proved the formula still works. WWE just forgot how to use it. SmackDown, Orlando, Florida. A wrestler who 6 months earlier was nobody. One half of a comedy tag team whose job was losing matches in entertaining ways. Then his partner suffered a possibly career-ending neck injury, leaving him alone, directionless, with no character, no clear future. Watch what happens next. The following contest is scheduled for listen to that. The crowd is already singing along and this is his first televised entrance with this gimmick. The Titantron shows actual video content, animated graphics, stylized silhouettes, not just his name in a generic font. Kit Wilson became the most unlikely star. Not through years of careful booking or elaborate storylines, but because of an entrance that made people believe. Kit Wilson proves the magic still works. The formula hasn't changed. But for every Kit Wilson, there are 50 wrestlers whose entrances you can't remember, whose music sounds interchangeable, whose presentation tells you nothing about who they are or why you should care. WWE perfected that spell. Then they forgot the words. So, let me remind them. A professional wrestling entrance is one of the most sophisticated pieces of psychological manipulation in all of modern entertainment. Think about what's happening. A human being needs to walk from a curtain to the ring and convince an arena full of strangers that they are different, superhuman, mythological, worth believing in, and they have 90 seconds to do it. One of the greatest entrance themes in wrestling history is 4 seconds long. Before Stone Cold Steve Austin is even visible, that sound has already hijacked your nervous system. Your brain has been trained through years of conditioning to associate that sound with chaos, with violence, with the absolute certainty that someone is about to get their ass handed to them and all hell is about to break loose. Jim Johnston, WWE's composer from 1985 to 2017, understood something fundamental. He was writing identity. Johnston would study a wrestler's psychology and compose music that communicated their entire character in the first 8 bars. The Undertaker's funeral dirge, Bret Hart's melancholy guitar, Shawn Michaels' triumphant fanfare. Each one was a complete character study compressed into 3 minutes. Listen to The Undertaker's theme. It's almost nothing. A gong, a slow droning bell, ominous organs, pure concentrated dread. Johnston trusted that you were smart enough to fill in the gaps. He gave you the musical equivalent of an empty graveyard and let your imagination do the rest. Survivor Series 1990. A 7-foot creature emerges through the curtain, and that gong echoes through the arena like a death note. The Undertaker hadn't cut a promo, hadn't won a match, hadn't explained his character, but everyone knew what he was. The music told them. Edge's theme does the same work. No way. You got to be kidding me. That opening riff communicates danger before Edge is visible. The lyrics kick in. You think you know me and the music tells his story. Deception, betrayal, everything before he takes a single step. Or Chris Jericho, the countdown timer, the anticipation building. Are you kidding me? Is it really? There's a goer for you. Explosion of sound, that immediate pyrotechnic punctuation. It trained your brain to associate Jericho's arrival with chaos, with something important happening, with the show getting better the moment he appeared. Johnston understood that wrestling was about belief, and music was the fastest route to making you believe. In 2020, WWE's music production was handed to Def Rebel, and to be fair, they've created some genuinely good themes. Rhea Ripley's music sounds like impending violence. Roman Reigns' tribal chief theme builds aura, but for every success, there are 15 interchangeable trap-influenced beats that sound like they were generated by an algorithm trained on aggressive workout playlist data. They're loud. They're busy. They have someone shouting the wrestler's name in the first 5 seconds because the production team knows the music isn't distinctive enough to identify the character on its own. That's pure panic. An admission that your music can't do its job. Johnston never needed to shout names. You knew it was Kane because the music sounded like industrial machinery grinding human bones. You knew it was Jericho because of that countdown and explosion. Def Rebel is being asked to create content. Content that works in 30-second highlight packages. Content that fits on video game soundtracks. Content that adheres to the WWE brand rather than individual personalities. That's a philosophy problem. Before this, wrestling entrances used cartoon graphics and static logos. The Titantron changed the game. Suddenly, you were watching a wrestler's movie. The screen showed highlights of their victories, symbolic imagery, close-ups of their face. Storytelling compressed into 90 seconds. Think about The Undertaker's entrance during his peak. The lights drop, the arena plunges into darkness, and on that massive screen, you see lightning striking graveyards, coffins opening, souls ascending. The Titantron showed you his world. Stone Cold could destroy reality itself. The glass shattering proved it. The Rock had electricity crackling around his name. Triple H's entrance was a coronation ceremony. These people were concepts. The entrance was where those concepts became real. Most modern entrances look like this. Wrestler's name appears on screen in their designated font. Maybe a color wash. Maybe some generic motion graphics. Efficient branding. But efficiency is the death of magic. The Titantron required production teams to edit video packages for every wrestler. It required planning, creativity, and investment. It said, this person matters enough that we're going to give them their own visual world. When WWE abandoned comprehensive Titantrons, they sent a message that most of you don't matter enough for us to care. Pyrotechnics serve one purpose. They transform moments into events. They're the exclamation point that makes your nervous system spike and tells you this is important. Batista's entrance is the perfect example. The slow walk, the sudden stop, arms raised in the machine gun pose, and then boom, the pyro explodes behind him in perfect sync with his gesture. That pyro fundamentally altered the psychology of the arena. It transformed the character from wrestler to unstoppable force. The same principle applied to Goldberg. The shower of sparks raining down as he emerged from backstage turned his entrance into a spectacle of raw power. The pyro elevated these characters to larger-than-life entities. WWE spent $5 to $30,000 per episode of Raw on pyrotechnics, $300,000 for a single WrestleMania. They navigated complex insurance requirements and venue permits because they understood the entrance is where stars are made. Then in 2017, they stopped. The pyro disappeared. Wrestlers raised their arms and nothing happened. The spectacle collapsed into routine. WWE claimed cost-cutting. A company making record profits, spending millions on LED screens and augmented reality graphics. They could afford pyro. They stopped because they stopped believing entrances mattered. Kevin Dunn ran WWE's television production from 1988 to 2024. His signature style, rapid camera cuts. During a typical entrance, the camera cut every 1.5 seconds. Wrestler's face cut. Crowd cut. Titantron cut. Wrestler's boots cut. Rapid cuts destroy atmosphere. You can't establish presence when we never see the wrestler for more than 2 seconds. Compare The Undertaker's entrance from 1997 to 2017. In 1997, wide shots. You see him emerge from darkness. You watch him walk slowly, methodically toward the ring. The camera trusts the visual is compelling. By 2017, that same entrance is fragmented. Face cut, hand cut, crowd cut. The mystique is gone. What should feel like a supernatural entity manifesting feels like a music video directed during a panic attack. In 2008, WWE transitioned to HD television. The old sets with physical props, the giant fist for WrestleMania X7, the elaborate structures giving each show unique identity, all had to go. In HD, they looked cheap. So, WWE replaced everything with LED screens. Every surface became a massive LED array. In theory, unlimited creative possibilities. In practice, WWE got lazy. Instead of creating unique visual environments, they displayed the wrestler's logo, maybe some motion graphics. Every entrance looked identical. The Gothic architecture for Undertaker, the chain link for John Cena, the elaborate throne for Triple H, all replaced by sterile LED canvas. Wrestling became globalized. It lost specificity. Cody Rhodes returned to WWE at WrestleMania 38. His entrance was a masterclass. Cody appears on an elevator platform rising from beneath the stage. As he ascends, pyro explodes. His theme, Kingdom by Downstate, which he brought with him from his independent wrestling days, hits its iconic whoa hook. 70,000 people sing in unison. Wrestling. This entrance works because it's patient. Cody doesn't rush. He stands on that platform and lets the moment build. It's invested. WWE reportedly spends more on Cody's entrance than any other wrestler. It's participatory. The Whoa Sing-Along transforms the entrance from performance to ritual. The result, Cody Rhodes is WWE's #1 merchandise seller. He main event 3 WrestleManias back-to-back. The entrance is proof WWE believes in him. When WWE believes in someone, audiences believe, too. Gunther communicates menace through restraint. The theme is martial militaristic. Gunther walks with zero theatrics, slowly methodically, like a man who knows he's about to hurt you and feels nothing about it. Complete absence of showmanship can be the most effective approach. Gunther's entrance tells you everything. This man is efficient, brutal, devoid of mercy. Joe Hendry used to be a musician who spent years wrestling in the Indies and for TNA. In 2024, he started getting WWE appearances. His entrance became a phenomenon. He took NXT by storm late last year. As I mentioned, his theme, I Believe in Joe Hendry, simple, direct, catchy. Within seconds, entire arenas sing along. But the theme became the core of his entire gimmick. Say his name anywhere in a promo, backstage segment, casual conversation, and his music hits. The crowd erupts. Everyone claps along. He appears seemingly out of nowhere, summoned by the mere mention of his name. This viral appeal carried Hendry from TNA appearances to a full WWE contract, to matches at major events, even to a WrestleMania appearance against Randy Orton. The theme became so embedded in audience consciousness that it transformed a mid-card wrestler into a legitimate draw. When crowds participate in your presentation, they invest in your success. The formula for effective entrances hasn't changed. Music that embeds itself in cognition. Visuals that communicate character. Participation that transforms watching into believing. Nia Jax is a powerhouse wrestler who should register as a genuine threat. She's larger than most of the women's division, strong enough to ragdoll opponents, but her entrance theme sounds like a rejected pop song. The music is loud, aggressive, energetic, but it communicates nothing about who Nia Jax is. That's just a generic tough woman music that could apply to any female wrestler. Because the entrance doesn't establish her as a monster, audiences never buy her as one. She's another wrestler with forgettable theme music. The entrance failed its job, so the character never connected. Compare this to Awesome Kong or The Rock. Those entrances made you believe these people were forces of nature. And Nia Jax is far from alone. Roxanne Perez had a star-making performance at the 2025 Royal Rumble, but her current theme is directionless noise. The beat changes every few seconds. It has no substance and doesn't represent who she is as a character at all. Next from Texas, the Motor City Machine Guns have a terrible entrance theme with forced raise your fist chanting that sounds cheesy. The song tries to force fans to chant rather than letting something occur naturally. During their tag team match at the 2025 Royal Rumble, they were met with silence. Finn Balor emerged during the 2025 Royal Rumble to the generic music handed to the Judgment Day faction. You could hear a pin drop in the audience. When he returned later in the year to his original theme, the difference was undeniable. Naomi's glow is wild shouting that doesn't have the charm, impact, or beat of her former amazing theme. The opening is too long and drawn out. When Naomi came out to any version of Amazing, it felt like fans were about to have a party. Glow doesn't create that same atmosphere. Sheamus was handed another generic Irishish piece of music after briefly returning to his beloved Written in My Face. It was a downgrade on both his previous WWE theme songs. Both Sheamus and fans have lobbied to bring back his old song. The calls have fallen on deaf ears when pyro gets cut from weekly shows. No more explosions for Kane. No more fireworks for Brock Lesnar. No more visual punctuation unless you were headlining WrestleMania. Kane's entrance used to be an event. Lights drop. Red lighting floods the arena. Kane raises his arms and the ring posts explode with fire. Without pyro, Kane walks to the ring. Walking is what everyone does. There's nothing separating Kane from any other large man in tights. Same thing happened to Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton, everyone whose entrance relied on visual punctuation. WWE's justification: cost-cutting, a company that made $1.3 billion in 2017. They could surely afford pyro, but they chose differently. January 2025, Monday Night Raw moves to Netflix in a 10-year, $5 billion deal. Netflix's philosophy is content retention. They want you to click and keep watching. They want efficiency. Entrances are the opposite. Entrances are indulgent, patient. They ask you to sit with a feeling, to let anticipation build, to experience something that serves no practical purpose except to make you believe. I started this video by showing you Kit Wilson, a wrestler in a jobber tag team that lost every match, suddenly becoming a star through an entrance. And I want to end by showing you this. Here he comes. The Undertaker's entrance at WrestleMania in 1998. Watch the smoke. Watch the lighting. Watch how the camera holds on wide shots, trusting the visual is compelling without gimmicks. Watch how slowly he moves. How deliberately every gesture is performed. Thousands of people sitting in absolute silence watching a man walk to a ring. The philosophy that made this possible. The belief that wrestling deserves patience, that spectacle matters, that 3 minutes of a man walking to a ring can be more memorable than anything that happens inside it. WWE is making billions. They've signed the biggest streaming deal in wrestling history. By every corporate metric, they're wildly successful, but they've forgotten how to make you believe. They've forgotten that the entrance is the character, that the character is the entrance. They've turned art into algorithm, ritual into routine, magic into content. Maybe I'm another wrestling fan clinging to memories of when things felt more magical. Maybe the problem is me refusing to accept that wrestling has evolved beyond elaborate entrances and theatrical pageantry. But then I watch Kit Wilson walk to a ring in Berlin, in London, in Charlotte, and I hear 10,000 people singing Kit Wilson. And I see a wrestler who was nobody 6 months ago get a reaction bigger than established main eventers. And you know what breaks my heart? WWE still has the capability. They proved it with Cody Rhodes. They proved it with Roman Reigns and Rhea Ripley. They have the money, the resources, the talent, the production capability. But they stopped believing it matters. WWE, the company that perfected this art form, that understood it better than anyone, has spent 2 decades systematically destroying it in the name of efficiency and profit margins and content optimization. I miss the spectacle. I miss the belief. I miss watching a man walk to a ring for 3 minutes while pyro explodes and music swells and thousands of people collectively decide that this person, this ordinary human in wrestling tights, is worth believing in. And I hope, God, I hope that someday someone in that company will watch the likes of Kit Wilson or Joe Hendry get that reaction and remember what they used to be able to do. Remember that wrestling is magic and magic takes time. Thank you for watching until the end. Click on the screen to check out our playlist on superstar documentaries and the greatest rivalries in wrestling. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next. Would you like me to help you format this into a teleprompter-ready layout or suggest some specific timestamps for the visual overlays?